Hello, world. I'm Frankie, and this is the Bosque Mobile Bicycle Repair Show. We're here in Denver, Colorado, USA, at Denver Community Studios. I'd like to give them a shout out and a thanks. If you're in the area, stop by. They got a podcast studio and a film studio. Anyways, we got a good show today. We're going to be talking about, how to do a safety check on your bicycle. Some basic assembly instructions, and how to do a basic bicycle tune-up. So we got a good educational video, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna bring my my bicycle over here. Got this. Now, this is a kid's bicycle. Yeah, it's the same basic concept, mechanical concept, whether you got a $10,000 bicycle or a $100 bicycle. I know some of you are like, I got hydraulic brakes, or maybe you have a suspension system, but a lot of things are applicable to most bicycles or all bicycles. I'm going to talk about something I get a lot of people have trouble on. And that is how to install your pedals. It sounds pretty simple, right? But a lot of people have trouble doing that, and we're going to explain why. I always get a phone call, I can't take this pedal off, or I can't remove the left pedal, and we're gonna talk about that. So we have the drive side of the bicycle and the non-drive side of the bicycle. Right now what you're looking at is the non-drive side of the bicycle. The part where it doesn't have all the gears and stuff like that. It's the left side of the bicycle. You're riding, left side. So just pretend you're on the bike, left side of the bicycle. We're going to install the left pedal, the dreaded left pedal. I know some of you are probably like, finally somebody's going to talk about this. Okay. So I'm going to get the pedal and some grease. Going to get some grease. Now, some of you are probably like, oh, we're probably gonna need a little close up on this shot. Camera number, let's get camera. Yeah, there we go. Which one is that? Number 2. Cool. Yeah, let me get this over here. So, I need you to focus on there. So I got 2 types of grease here. You got the nice, expensive Park Tool grease. It's the PPL-1, and then you got some cheap automotive grease. This is cheaper, and you got more bang for your buck. I think it's like $5, or probably I think it was less than $5. Got it at Walmart. It's multi-duty. If you're just gonna install pedals, you don't need expensive grease. You don't need expensive bicycle grease. You could just use any type of grease, bearing grease. I think this is bearing. Yeah, it says it's used for bearings, I believe, or high temp applications. Yeah. Anyways, I use the cheap stuff for just assembly. Parts. I mean, if I'm doing bearings, I'll use this. But I even use this sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to use all this grease. So, anyways, I'm gonna get the pedal and put some grease on it. So you don't need a whole lot of grease. And actually, we're gonna get the PTZ for this one. So I got both pedals right here. One says, I think one says R and one says L on it. Yeah, so sometimes, let's get the PTZ. Okay. So sometimes they'll have an L or an R indicating which is the left pedal and which one is the right. Sometimes it'll be right here, depends on the brand. And most of the time it's on this part of the pedals. Doesn't matter if they're $500 pedals or just $2 pedals. It'll be on here. This one, I don't see it. Oh yeah, it is. There's an R right here. There's an R right here. You can barely see it with this lighting. Let me see. You could barely see it with, even off camera. It's pretty not that great. But anyways, kind of go slowly. If you don't know which pedal it is, put it in there and turn it slowly. If it's not threading in, then you know it's the wrong pedal. So you don't want to force this, and you don't want to do what they call cross threading. Okay, Okay, let's get the wide shot, please. And I just lost which one was the right and which one was the left. Okay, that's the right. Because it just has R on it. And this, I don't know what is on there. So we get some grease here. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of grease. You don't need a whole lot. Let's get number 2, please. Number two. So I got a little bit of grease on my finger. I'm just gonna coat it. It's not gonna be a whole lot. It's not gonna glob it on there. Just a little bit. Just coat. Not a super thin coating, but you want something to coat it. So, and if you ever get an old bicycle and you're turning the pedal the correct way and you can't get off, it's because whoever assembled it didn't put grease, so it got seized and rusted. And that's why sometimes you can't restore bicycles unless you want to be sweating and yelling and using some special tools to get the stuff off. Sometimes I like to put a little bit of grease in here. Put a little bit of grease in there. And of course, wipe it with a rag after you're done. So anyways, I gotta find the the right pedal again because I lost it. I think it's on there. See, this is the R. That's the right pedal. Yeah, that's the right pedal. Okay, cool. Got it. Okay. So I got a fancy pedal wrench, like this huge one, little professional one. It's really thin. Well, it's not that thin, but it is got a high amount of torque. You don't need this. I have it, but you can get away with a regular wrench if it's thin enough. Depends on the pedal, and if you can grab some meat on there. This is it's a 14. No, it's a 15. Most of the time, it's a 15 millimeter. If it could fit between the, if you could tighten it all the way without it, the thickness of this preventing it, then you can use that wrench. But this is too thick. This wrench is, let's get number 2, please. That wrench is way too thick. I'm going to compare it to the other one. See that? Let's try to focus in on there. So, yeah, you see? I'm talking about the head portion of this wrench. Now you might want to use an adjustable wrench, like an adjustable wrench right here, but that's too thick. So most of the time, if most of you out there, just get one of these, but make sure it's a little thinner. Some expensive pedals you have to use a thinner wrench because they just barely give you enough what is it called, material to grab onto. A part of that pedal. But anyways, I'm gonna use this one. This is expensive. I don't if you're just a home mechanic, don't use it. Don't go out and buy this. But yeah, we're gonna install it. So again, wide shot, yeah, please. This is the left pedal. So it's called left hand threaded. Left hand threaded. That's basically the opposite of what you're used to. On the right side, it's right hand threaded. The left side, it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So it's the opposite. Clockwise, you turn it clockwise, and it's probably, I know we're on camera, so it's probably not going to look correct. I forget what they call it. But anyways, just if you're turning clockwise on the left side, non-drive side of the bicycle, you're turning that pedal clockwise, you're loosening it. If you're turning it counterclockwise, you're tightening it. So it's the exact opposite of what you're used to, at least here in North America. I don't know how I'm pretty sure in the other parts of the world. So I'm gonna start it off with my hand, with my fingers. I'm gonna use my finger wrench. Always start it off, unless I'm a professional. I won't do it because if I cross thread it, it's all bad. No bueno. So I'm gonna start it off with my hand. If it's tapped correctly, if it has threaded correctly, that crank arm, it'll let's get a shot. There we go. That's good. Can you zoom in a bit on there? It's a tad bit more. Not too close, not too crazy. So I'm gonna start it off and I'm gonna turn it. You gotta make sure it's straight. see. Oh, sorry about that. So I like to turn it as far as I can with my fingers, and then tighten it with the wrench. So I'm finger to tighten it, finger to tighten it, finger to tighten it. Now, now see, I'm gonna tell you why after I tighten this. Why I do it. Why I do this. Okay, so got that. Wipe my thing. Let's get a wide shot, please. Wide shot. Okay, and so this is how I tighten it. If I remember. Okay, so we're turning it counterclockwise in order to turn it, and this is how you get a good amount of leverage on it. So, boom. You do want to tighten this pretty tight. I've worked on bikes or tuned up bikes with that. Let's get a wide shot, please. I've tuned up bikes where I'm turning this pedal and I'm adjusting the bicycle like I'm on the drive side, and the pedal just comes off. Boom. They didn't even tighten it that tight. And part of the reason was probably because they had a really thick head wrench, and they prevented them from tightening it all the way, or they just didn't crank down on it. Now, check with your manufacturer on the correct torque specification, but I mean, it's hard to explain how hard you need to. I mean, you don't want to be putting all your force on it, but I'd say, I don't know, rough estimate, 20 Newton meters, 25 Newton meters, I think. But don't quote me on that. But I put a good oomph into it. You know, you just saw that. It's a lot tighter than anything else you're gonna tighten on a bicycle. So, but make sure it's on there correctly, because you don't want to be riding and then it falls off. And if you're riding with it barely on there, it'll cross thread. Okay, so talking about cross thread, a lot of people will start it off with the wrench. You know, they're just like, you know, let's get this over with. Boom. If you're not threaded in all the way and it's difficult to tighten, you're probably cross threading it. So you want to back out, loosen it, and then restart it. Because if you cross thread this, you got to retap it. And most of these are aluminum. This is called the crank arm right here. If it's aluminum, you're probably not going to be able to tap it, retap it, or because it's harder with aluminum to fix it if it's cross threaded. And if you went too far with the cross threading, like you really forced it in there and it's crooked, and you try to take it out, it's permanent. You got to get a new one of these. And if it's an expensive, what they call not drivetrain. Drivetrain is the whole thing. Crank set. So sometimes if you got an expensive bike, the left, if you damage this one, you have to buy the other side, the gears, and this. So they don't sell these separately. So that's the thing. See, I bought one of these left crank arms just because that's how many people will cross thread them or damage them. So I'll have a spare one, and to replace it with. So yeah, this is the threads. Like this, like I said, most of these are aluminum, and also if you install it all the way and it's crooked, you're gonna feel it when you're cycling. Like you might cause some damage to your knees over time, or your ankles. It's gonna be crooked, so you're gonna be constantly pedaling, especially if you cycle a lot. You will kind of you may get some health issues. But yeah, I always get people crying, calling me. They're like, I can't take this pedal off. I'm turning it to the left, and I can't get my left pedal off. I'm like, because it's left hand threaded, so that's why you can't get it off. I get that call all the time, and so they're cranking down harder on it when they're turning it to the left. So that means they're tightening it even more. So it's going to be more difficult to loosen it. That's a big issue. Whether you buy a kid's bike, adult bike, or a $10,000 bike, I have that issue, and I've had people cross thread these, and I'm like, you need to go buy a new one. Since I don't have a spare in your length, or I don't have one at all, you need to go to the bike shop and go ask them to order you one, or you got to buy one, and I can install it. So that's such a common issue, and a lot of direct to consumer bikes don't give enough educational material, or nobody reads it, or they don't make videos about the left pedal. It sounds simple, right? It's not that simple. There's very few things mechanically in America that have a left-hand thread. But if you don't know that it has a left-hand thread, you're going to be crying and trying. You'll be like, how come I can't get it off? Anyways, I'm going to install the other pedal. So I'm going to get this. Boom. Now we're on the right side. I got an expensive repair stand. It's a Park Tool one. It's like over $300 right now because of, you know, the economy, whatever, blah blah blah. But it's probably like 400, 450, 500. I don't know. Forget about it. You can buy decent ones for $100. They are Bikehan makes one. Check that out. Foundation Tools makes one for $100. If you have a regular bicycle, if you got an e-bike, you got to spend more money. You know, that's if it's, you know, especially if it's heavy. If it weighs the same amount as a regular bike, then yeah, you can get away with it. But yeah, that's why you should ride a regular bicycle, lose some weight. Okay, so this is the drive side of the bicycle. Got the gears, you got everything. This is if you're riding the bicycle, is the right hand side of the bicycle. Okay, yeah, oh my bad. Let's get camera number 2, please. Camera number 2. I'm gonna play with. Okay, so I'm gonna install the right pedal, and so this is normal, clockwise. Going clockwise to tighten it, counterclockwise to loosen it. I'm gonna start off with my hand, with my fingers, my finger wrench. And now this is on camera, so it may not look the correct way, but I gave you the instructions, counterclockwise, clockwise. I like the saying righty tighty, lefty loosey. That's what I grew up on. The right and the left. Righty tighty, that's how I remember everything. So yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can go. So it's going in smoothly, not cross-threaded. Get my wrench. Another thing, a tap. So like I remember I said, you can fix it with a retap. You may be able to, if you didn't cross-thread it too much. That tap is not too common, and it's not that common. You can't just run out to a hardware store and get it. At least to my knowledge, no. So a lot of you might have. I mean, the tap is expensive. If you get a bicycle specific one, it's really expensive. Let's get a wide shot, please, so I can show them like how the method of tightening it. So kind of notice my how I'm tightening this. I don't know. So I'm kind of holding that other crank arm to prevent the crank arms from turning. Let's see. So kind of go like this. Let's see. Number 2. Let's get number 2 wider. Let's get number back. Yeah, zoom out. So I'm kind of holding that other crank arm. Just showing you the method to my madness. And okay, bada bing. So that's tightened up. So there we go. So if I'm shifting, this thing doesn't pop off. But yeah, so I don't have a tap and die for crank arms. I'm not gonna buy that. But so sometimes I tell people to go to the bike shop and run out, and they got the tap for pedal threads. I think it's 9/16. The pedal threads are they refer to them as 9/16, and that's not metric. It's I believe it's not metric. I mean, sometimes they use these nominal sizes, but it's a 9/16 pedal thread. Most pedal threads are 9/16. I have a tap and die set, but it's only metric. So this is a imperial. So that one of the few things on a bicycle that are imperial is the pedal threads. You got English bottom bracket. What else is that's like the only 2 things. There's something else too. I just can't remember it. That's imperial measurement, threaded measurement. Everything else is pretty much metric. So yeah, pedal threads. We got the pedals on. What else am I gonna talk about? So we're gonna do like a little safety check on this bike. I'm gonna take off my right glove. It's got a lot of grease on it. I actually want to talk about grease. So like say if you're assembling your bicycle, you do gotta put some. It's good to put. Let's get a wide shot. Yeah, wide shot. It's good to grease some of these threads on certain bolts, on certain ones. Not all of them, but some bolts. The stem bolts, these bolts right here. Let's get PTZ number 3, please. Let's see how that looks. So kind of come up here. Let me turn this. Yeah, where my hands are. So like these bolts, you could put grease on these threads. I mean, don't put grease on the outside of the, you know what I mean, but on the threads are, yeah, there you go. Let's go. You can zoom in there. Where my finger is, my pointer. There you go. So you can grease the threads of these bolts before you install them, just like we did with the pedal threads. And then let me take off this, whatchamacallit. There you go. Let's see. Yeah, right here. Yeah, there you go. Zoom in right here. You can grease the threads of these bolts right here. Just the threads, not the bolt head. And you don't want any grease on the outside. Yeah, no. What do you? No, not number 2. Number 3, please. There you go. Yeah, keep it on number 3. So you can grease those threads. We're gonna talk about. Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about this stem. This is called a threadless stem. Threadless stem. But I want to go back to the crank arm. I want to talk briefly on that. No, number 2. Those. Yeah, let's go down, please. So yeah, a little safety check I like to do with these crank arms is I like to make sure there's no play in the bottom bracket. And you know, I kind of move this. I'm moving this side to side at 3 and 6 o'clock, 12 and 3 and 9, 12 and 6, referring to clock. So that's making sure there's no play in there. Tighten this, make sure this is tight, this bolt. You have to get like a socket. Most of the time it's a 14 millimeter socket. Tighten it. This actually is a high torque. This and the pedal threads is a high torque. Check with your manufacturer. But this is a square taper bottom bracket. These don't loosen up. Square tapers don't loosen up. Once you tighten them on there, I'm not gonna say like they never loosen up, but I have never seen somebody loosen these. If they didn't tighten it properly, it'll loosen up. But if you tightened it properly, it's not gonna loosen up. It's just one of those things. It's like a free will. So make sure that is pretty tight on there. Yeah, these gloves are giving me a hard time. But yeah, they got the little cap on there. You could put it on there. It's not a big deal. Don't grease the taper. Let me show you the other crank arm. So this is a left-handed crank arm. Reason why we call it a square taper is let's get number 2, please. Number 2. So you see that little diamond? It's basically a square if you turn it the right way. You know, so you don't put grease in there. You don't grease that. You don't grease the taper of the bottom bracket. You can grease the bolt threads of the thing you put in there. This has threads on it because some caps they thread onto there. But sometimes most people just lose the caps and whatever water gets in there. But yeah, anyways, this aluminum. Yeah, that's all I need to say on that. White shot, please. White shot. So we're gonna do a quick safety check on the floor with this bicycle. Like a doctor, right here. So what I want to do is check this headset. Check this headset. Yeah, there we go. Can you lower the wide shot? Like, I want to get. Yeah, we can do number 2. Okay. So what I do is I hit the front brake, and actually these brakes are not adjusted, but we will adjust them. So I'm hitting that brake, and I'm feeling for any play in the headset. This is, out of everything, this is one of the most important things. safety wise. And a lot of direct to consumer bicycles, you have to assemble the headset portion of the bicycle, which is very scary because a lot of people do not have a high mechanical aptitude or any mechanical aptitude. So with all these somebody sued a company. I don't want to say the name of the company because I got to read the case and make sure the facts are straight. There's a big direct-to-consumer company. They went bankrupt recently, but they sold their bikes without this installed. The lady installed it. She didn't assemble it correctly, and of course she didn't tighten these bolts correctly, and she got injured, severely injured. She didn't die, but she got severely injured, and she sued the company. So anyways, I'm just checking the bearings, if there's what they call play, movement, wobbling within the headset. If your wheel has loose bearings or loose cup and cone bearings, you may mistaken movement and the wheel hub for movement here. That's why it's kind of good. You should take it to a bike shop. It's hard to explain it without taking this apart, without taking the headset apart. But just if there's something feels funny, like there's movement in here, then you need to take it to a bike shop or learn how to put it together properly. But these two bolts, and another way to check, so these two bolts that on the headset should be tightened properly. Check with the manufacturer. Most of the time, I'm going to give you a rust estimate. It's like 9 Newton meters, 7 to 9 Newton meters. A lot of times they'll say the Newton meter, the torque specification on the threadless stem. It'll be posted. If you look on it, it'll have it written on there. This is a pretty bad angle. Let me see. There we go. Sometimes it'll say it on there. Of course, this is not the bolt side where the bolt heads are, but it'll be on. Most of the time, it'll be right there where you tighten it. Let's try that. No, keep that shot. Keep that. Where were you at? Who had that shot? Was it number 2? Talk to me. Whoa. I don't know. It was number 3, but what is it? Give me number 2. Give me number 2. Give me number 2. Lower it, Megan, please. Zoom in right here. Right here. Okay, there we go. Focus. So a lot of times it'll say NM 8, so 8 Newton meters. These bolts got to be tightened properly. If you ride a lot, check them twice a month. Check them, appropriately. But if this is not tightened, your handlebars are going to go one way and your wheel's going to go the other way. But this is how I check the tightness sometimes. Let's get a wide shot, please. Wide shot. So I'll put my legs between it and I'll turn the handlebars to make sure if these handlebars turn and that wheel stays between my legs straight, that means it's not tightened properly. And I'm not doing a crazy hard amount of force, but yeah, I'm gonna loosen this just to show you. Most of these bolts take a 5mm hex key. 5mm. So yeah, we're gonna loosen this up. These were tightened actually really tight, which is good. Oh, I just messed it up right there. Trying to keep it for the camera shot. That's why. This is really weird. So, say this is loose. You're riding, wide shot. You're riding your bicycle. All of a sudden, you go to turn. Your wheel stays going straight, and your handlebars are this way, and you crash. This is the most dangerous right here. This is the most important part right here. Is this? Because think about it. If your wheel goes one way, and your handlebars go the other way. No, wide shot, please. Wide shot. You go the other way. It's not good. I was taught to keep these at like a safe, not too tight, because if you do crash, you don't want the handlebars going into your stomach. It'll give way. That's what I was told, but I'd say it's more dangerous if this is loose, if this gets loose. And people don't check these. People don't check their bolts to the correct torque specifications, unfortunately. Me personally, I think I tighten mine to like an 8 or a 9 Newton meter. That's just me. I'd rather have it not give way, then give way if I fall, because I might forget that to check the torque on it. It's kind of like pumping up your tires. You want to pump it up to the max, because you know you're going to forget to pump up your tires, and you're going to slowly lose air over time. So yeah, I'm a human torque wrench, so I can really get this. Also, you know, I like to check the wheel, move it back and forth. I pick up the wheel and I'm moving it this way, not rolling it, and I'm checking the hub if it's loose, making sure also that it's tightened properly. The wheel's tightened, so I pick it up, grab it. Let's get a white. Keep it on the white, please, the middle one, and zoom out. Lower it, please. Okay. So I just grab it, I'm moving it, and I grab the other wheel. So of course this is a kid's bike. You want to make sure it's really safe. You don't want your loved ones getting hurt. So I'm just you know, doing that. Push down on the bike, putting some weight on it, looking at the tires, see if they're pumped up. Boom, boom, boom. All good. Let's put this back in the thing. Okay, there we go. Got that. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about torque wrenches. Let's get camera number 2 for this. Okay, camera number 2. So this is a torque wrench. This is called a what is it called? I forgot. Anyways, there's this one, and then there's the beam style, like the old school style. This is made by Pro Bike Tool. It's a pretty notorious torque wrench for bicycles. You can buy one for, you know, they make them for just automotive or general purpose. You don't have to buy an expensive torque wrench like a Park Tool one or a Snap-on one. Definitely not a Snap-on. These get you in a very good ballpark range. Let me see. I'll take it out for you. I don't want to talk too much about this. I think I did have a video. I have a video on bicycle tools, so I talk about this already. This is called a click style. There you go. Click style torque wrench. So that way, you know, I would definitely recommend buying one of these. You can buy them for, I think, $20 to something, you know, $20 to $50. You know, the American price. Keep it on number 2. So yeah, so this, you got to loosen it and then rotate it clockwise to make it more of a higher torque rating. This has Newton meters, and it has a little spring in here, and when you tighten it to the correct specification, the head base of this head will pivot, or click slightly. Then that's when you back off. That's how you know you got it to the correct torque specification. So this is a torque. But always remember to bottom out to 0 before you store it in long-term storage, or else you will damage the tool, and it will not be calibrated properly. So you have to. This has a little sleeve here. So this is a torque wrench. I'm not going to go too much into like how to use a torque wrench, but there's all kinds of videos. So the bottoming out on here is 2 Newton meters. So 0, 2 Newton meters. So yeah, it's a click style. Actually, I will use it just to show you guys. You might be able to hear it on my audio. But yeah, anyways. But yeah, so we're gonna check the brakes. I do want to talk about something else before I forget. So, greasing your seat post. Not a lot of videos out there talking about greasing. Supposed to grease your seat post. This is you want to grease your seat post because most of the time your seat post is made out of metal. It's made out of steel, and your bicycle is made out of aluminum, or vice versa. Your seat post is made out of aluminum, and your bicycle is made out of steel. If you don't grease your seat post, something is going to occur. It's called galvanic corrosion. Big word. That means two dissimilar metals are in contact, and when they corrode or rust, they actually fuse together. And so you see there's a lot of videos online of people restoring bicycles, or they can't get the seat post off, they're having trouble. That's due to galvanic corrosion. So always grease your seat post, put a light coating on it. I think I should show you because let's do that. We're gonna need the wide shot. I think we're gonna probably need the wide shot, and maybe camera number. Actually, I'll play with camera number 2 on that one. And so I'm gonna put just a tad bit of grease on there. I'm gonna have to switch out my gloves again on this. So I'm gonna get a little finger glob of grease. And I'm gonna take this seat post out. Actually, this is another good thing right here. See that? There was already grease on there, but it's kind of old and getting dirty. So actually, I should wipe it off. Let me put the kickstand on, or just pretend I wiped it off. But also, I want to. How good can you zoom in with number 2? Let's get in. Let me see. Actually, there we go, right there. So there's dashes right here. I don't know if can you see them on that? Yeah, you can see them on. Actually, yeah. So I'm gonna wipe this off. Turn that. See that? It says minimum on there, and it actually says the diameter of the seat post. So it's 27.2, and that's millimeters. And it has a circle with a cross through it. I don't know. Let's see. Dole it out. So, okay, so if you ever replace the seat post, you know what the diameter is. Always replace it with the correct diameter seat post. Seat posts come in a variety amount of diameters. It's really weird. But see, you don't want to go. You don't want to see these dash marks. You never want to. What is it called? Go past the dash marks. Raise it past these dash marks like this. That's unsafe. This has to be below the top tube. This is called the top tube of the bicycle. This is called the clamp. It can't be. It has to be below the top tube, the frame of the bicycle, not the clamp. So this is the maximum amount that you can raise the seat post for it to be still safe, considered safe. Okay, so keep it on that shot number 2, Megan, please. And you can back out a little bit because we got that. So I'm gonna apply some grease on here. It's not a very thin coating, but actually this is kind of thin. Of course, I would put more, but I'm not trying to make a big old mess here. And when you slide it back, of course, you want to loosen this clamp before you put it in there, so it doesn't scrape off all the grease. So I'm gonna put it back in there, and I'm gonna clamp on this. Screw the clamp. Let me take my glove off because I got. Okay. So this has a quick release type of clamp. So I gotta kind of. This is not a fixed clamp. So yeah. You don't want it to be that tight, but you don't want it to be too loose. But actually, that's a pretty much good amount of force. If you're like struggling to close it, then you're going to be struggling to open this. You adjust the tightness by moving this clockwise or counterclockwise. This is righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This is not left-hand threaded. So you adjust the tightness with this. So boom, boom, boom. You know, if it's too loose, maybe tighten this. Make maybe 1 or 2 rotations, and then but when you're adjusting this has to be open. Your quick release has to be open, and then turn this, and then close it. So more about that with the wheel. Make sure you back out up with the number 2 just a little bit. So make sure your seat is kind of straight with the frame of the bicycle. There you go. Put this white shot. Okay. Got that. So I got some grease on there. Wipe off the excess grease. You don't want a bunch of crazy excess grease on there. You don't want to get grease on you while you're riding. So, yeah. There you go. See, get another glove right here. Okay. And so yeah. So what I like to do now, I'm kind of gonna get into like tuning up the bicycle, tightening it, and stuff like that. I'm gonna use my torque wrench to make sure these bolts are tight, right here on the top. I think camera number 3 would be best for this right here. Get that adjusted while I get my torque wrench and the appropriate bit. So you got the sockets and the bits. The bits are on the sockets. So, okay, yeah, there we go. So this is number 3. Yeah, camera number 3. So I'm gonna put my socket bit on my torque wrench. This one has a little button on it, and I gotta push it and put it on there. Make sure it's on there. Bada bing. This doesn't have the Newton meter on it, but I know what so it's like a 5 or 6 Newton meter. So I'm gonna pull down this sleeve and turn it to 6 Newton meters. Like I said, there's a lot of video. I believe I have a video out there, bicycle tools, and I do have a video called Bicycle Tools, and I talk about how to use a torque wrench. So check it out. So I'm gonna put it at 6 Newton meters. Sometimes it's like 5, but I always put it at 6 Newton meters, and I'm gonna click on it. Let me see here. I'm gonna turn this on there. Yeah, right there, boom. So it is tightened properly. I think it was tightened a little bit more than 6 Newton meters, but me personally, I would put it at 7 or 8. Doesn't hurt. And then I also check the brake levers. So I don't know if you can get, yeah, you got that right there. You can stay on camera number 3. You got it. Okay, so under here is the brake levers, and tighten this grip shift too. That's gonna you're not gonna be able to get that. It's way under there. It's like a number 3 Allen key. You can't tighten this tight. Just tighten it like a 3 or 4 Newton meters, because it's plastic. And I'm gonna tighten. I don't know. I can't even see, but I think you need a wide shot on this one, because this one is not going in there. There we go. Put some pressure. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this one. Yeah, sometimes if these bolts corrode, the metal kind of what is it called? It expands or gets in there. There we go. Got it in there. Cool. Got it in there. So yeah, if your bolt heads start rusting up pretty bad, replace them. So I'm gonna tighten this. This is more tighter. Actually, I tightened these already. This is called your stem cap, right here on the top. There you go. Yeah, you got it. Number 2. That's for adjusting the bearings. I'm gonna talk about. Yeah, I could talk. I kind of talked about that. It's a little bit complicated. A lot of people tighten this excessively. Don't do that. Don't tighten it excessively. You have to tighten this before you tighten these. And that's how you feel like if there's play in your headset. I don't know if I should touch on this because I don't want nobody suing me, but yeah, you want these loose. Now, of course, I would do this on the floor, but I don't want to take this bike off. So what I do is I'm gonna loosen this. Actually, I will. Actually, I'll go back on the floor and do this because I want to touch on this. Touch on this. So let's get it wide. Lower it, and let me know if you need time. We can be on camera number 2 while we're at it. Let's go to camera number 2 while we're waiting on wide shot. Number 2, go to number 2, please. So yeah, I've loosened those bolts. So I loosened these bolts right here. These two, those are your stand bolts. And I like to use the little tripod little thing right here. And so these are, you ready? Okay. Yeah, let's go wide. Let's go wide and kind of zoom in a bit. That's good. That's good right there. That's good. So these are loose. And so these are there's bearings in here. They're not sealed. They're in a cage probably. I'm not gonna open that up. But I make sure that this stem is lined up with the wheel. So I'm looking at the top, and I always get this a little slightly crooked. I don't know why. I think my eyes are crooked, but I always have the customer double check for me after I'm done tuning up their bike. So this has to be. This is tricky. I'm not gonna lie. This can be tricky. This has to. You kind of tighten it. I do it by feel, but it's like you're going. Once you feel resistance, you go. Some people say 1/2 turn or a 1/4 turn more when you feel resistance. That's not always true, and it's hard to explain, but certain, like that's why it has to be loose before you do the stem cap, because of resistance, just resistance with the headset going together. Sometimes it's not that smooth. Why are you in? No, I need the wide. Zoom in, because you got to get this shot of this. There you go. Yeah, zoom in out a little bit more. Right there. Zoom out. No, zoom out. I would rather with the wide shot. I mean, you got to kind of make the wide shot a or just leave it right there. Just leave it. I got it. Okay. I'll turn. I'll move. I'll move with it. Okay. So yeah, once you feel resistance, you got to go a 1/4 turn or a 1/2 turn. It just depends on your bike. That's why you should take it to a shop. Because what this is doing, no. Back out. I don't need it that close. I don't need it that. No, I said not that close. Yeah, right there. That's good. So what is it? It's doing is it's compressing the cups on the bearings. The more you tighten this, the more it's pushing on those bearings. So you want it to where it's just barely on the, not barely touching the bearings, but barely touching the bearings where there's no play. Think of like balls, bearings in a circle. And the more you press hard on them, if you turn that stem, it's gonna feel resistance when you're turning. So if it's too loose, it's just gonna be boom, 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 and it's gonna be smacking those bearings. And if they're in a cage or they're sealed bearings, you're gonna damage them. So, but always make sure these are tight. So after you get a feel for that, tighten this. Tighten this to the correct Newton meters. Of course, I know what it feels like. And then hit the front brake and move it, hit the front brake, move back, hit the brake, move forward, hit the brake. And you can feel if there is any wobbling or play or movement, unnecessary movement that is associated with this is called the headset bearings. You have two, one on the bottom and one on the top right here. So that's extremely, extremely important, and people get hurt, injured a lot every year because of that type of mechanical issue. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, cool. briefly on this because they still make bicycles with quill stems. And we're going to talk about quill stems right now, and then I'm going to do some shifting and brake adjustments on the bike. So this bicycle right here, it's an old Miata, probably from the 70s. Yeah, it looks about the 70s. Really cool, retro. This has a quill stem. So what you saw earlier was a threadless head stem, stem. This has a quill stem, so it's just this one little solid piece. I like these a lot. They're very durable. They may be a little bit, I guess, heavier, but I mean, they're not that heavy. It's just a quill stem. So it's like this solid piece right here. And then you have a clamp on it. Oh, just messed up this little light right here. But let's get yeah, okay. That's good. That's good. So it clamps onto the handlebar. Instead of 4 bolts like the threadless head stem, it just has one right under here. Sometimes so it's actually out right here. So this is like you could tighten it right here. This has a bolt on the back end. This is kind of unique. I've never seen this. It might be, but but a lot of times this is threaded. The stem is threaded right here instead of using a bolt. It might have broke. The threads might have got damaged. That's why they're doing that. But you just have one bolt to tighten. It's a dummy proof. What is it called? Stem. And then you got one bolt right here that you tighten. And you could tighten these in a higher torque. I usually tighten them like 8 and 9. So with these this bolt right here, I usually do 8 or 9 or even 10. This one is probably like a 7 or 8 Newton meters. This is just a rough generalization. Check with your manufacturer. Do your homework. Be a big boy or big girl and do your thing. Let's get camera number 3, please. You got camera number 3 set up. There we go. Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom, because I was getting ready for that one. That's good. A little bit more. A little bit down. Down right there. But anyways, so with the quill stem, very important. Please, 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 like the seat post, grease your quill stem. And I'd say put more grease than your seat post. So I had trouble with this earlier. I had to loosen this bolt where it's sticking out and then smack it with a big wrench I have. I had to use a wrench, not a hammer, because I didn't want to hit these shifters right here. So I had to go, and then that loosened it up. But anyways, I'm going to raise this up. Wherever it's not exposed, put some grease on it. It should be greased. There's a, what is it called? I forget the name of it. It's, yeah, grease. Put a lot of grease on this, please. That way, whoever buys the bicycle or whoever fixes it later on down the road can take it apart. So that's your wedge. There you go. That's called the wedge. Put a glob of grease on that and then put it in there. So it's a wedge concept, mechanical concept. That's how it's tightened. And just like the same thing with the threadless head stem, wide shot, please. Make sure that the stem lines up with the front of the wheel and it's at the appropriate height. There is a minimum and a max. There's a minimum marking on the quill stem, just like with the seat post. There's going to be dashes on it. Tighten the quill stem. Check it periodically to make sure that it's tightened. Check with the manufacturer to get the correct torque specification. Me, I put it at like a 9 or a... Now I wouldn't tighten it all the way with a T-handle hex key. I'll do it like with a socket wrench. And this one uses a 6mm hex key. Most of the time it's a 6 or a 5mm. But yeah, tighten it. Boom, boom, boom. That way it's not moving all over the place. And tighten. Make sure it's tight. That's a little loose. I gotta tighten it more. It's because I'm checking it. Bam. But I love quill stems. I like them a lot. They're simple. Tighten it. 2 bolts. Boom, boom. Not like 4 bolts on the faceplate and with the threadless stem, and then you got 2 with the other one, and it's just, those are always loose. But yeah. Anyways, keep it on the wide shot, please. I'm gonna bring in the star of the show, kid's bike. So I'm gonna bring in that kid's bike. And I'm gonna give my camera woman a little bit of time to set up. So we want to focus right here, please. Right here on this part of the bicycle. Yeah, number 2. Keep it on the wide shot while Megan gets it adjusted. There you go. Yeah. Gonna get that wide shot down, please. A little bit down, kind of like top, like that. There you go. Bada bing. Bada bing. So what I'm gonna do, and keep it on the wide. I'm just gonna go over. Right now, I'm just gonna. My earpiece is all. Well, I'm just gonna go through the shifting real quick. Go through the shifting. This isn't a hardcore shifting tutorial, like a very detailed shifting tutorial or brake tutorial. We're just gonna run through this real quick. That way you get a concept of how it is done and some major things to look out for if your shifting's really not that good. If there's some safety things. I just saw that thing. So I can't loosen it. Usually, okay, so this is what happens when you're live. So I can't loosen this all the way. I can't. So yeah, I will. I'll just do it. So, okay, cool. So what I like to do is you go through the shifting. Right now I'm in the middle. Well, actually, I like to start from the high gear, high. So let's back out a bit more on that number 2. That way you can see this. There you go. Bada bing. And tighten it up. Right there. There you go. So what I want to do is I want to just go through the shifting. I'm in high, so big chain ring, small cogs. Now I'm going to go in the middle. Go to the middle chain ring, middle cogs, and go to the low. It's actually pretty decent, pretty good. So I'm just making sure everything, this chain, and I'm in the low, so I'm in the smallest chain ring, the biggest cog back here. Making sure this chain doesn't fall down, fall off. And we go like that. We'll go back to the middle, boom, boom, and go back to high. Got this. Also, before I do anything, I should be making sure that this wheel is in properly. What I do is I get the, let's go to the wide, please. Wide shot. And, where is my wrench? Oh, there's my 15 mil. So this one has a nutted axle. It has nuts on the axle. And what I'm doing is I'm just loosening them, making sure they're also tight at the same time. And I'm pushing my thigh up on the wheel to make sure it is in the dropouts flush properly. I'm looking at that wheel, making sure it's centered between these chain stays. If the dropouts are not cut out correctly, it could, even if you push up the wheel all the way, it could be slightly crooked. So sometimes you gotta move the axle slightly down. I'm talking like millimeters, 1 or 2 millimeters to make it directly in the middle. This one's all pretty good. The frame is aligned. If the frame's not, frame alignment and dropout cutouts are 2 different things. If the frame's out of alignment, you can get away. That's another story. We'll talk about it later. You could true the wheel to make it the wheel center for frame alignment. With the dropouts, it's a little bit more of a safety thing and it's harder to adjust your brakes. But I'm making sure this is tight correctly. Check with your manufacturer. Wheel center, boom, boom, boom. Now I can do the shifting adjustments. Camera number 2, please. Camera number 2. Okay, there we go, back out a little bit. There we go, bada bing. Okay, so I'm hitting on my little thing right there. So anyways, I like to also, I'm checking the high and the low limit. Well, I check the low limit. The low limit screw adjustment on your derailleur is the most important, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard the derailleur, they go to the lowest gear and the derailleur goes into the spokes You stop suddenly, go over your handlebars, breaks the spokes, breaks the derailleur. So what I do is I turn the pedal slowly and push. I shift all the way down to the lowest gear, and I'm not shifting. Both my hands are here. I'm turning this slowly. I said slowly, and I'm pushing all the way. You see it? It's hitting that. It's hitting those spokes, and it's wanting to jump off. See that? Let's get a pause on that. See, that low limit screw is not adjusted properly. It has to be screwed in more, threaded in more to prevent that derailleur from going into the spokes and causing a pretty bad accident, which can cause unfortunately serious injury or death. So these low limit screws take a Phillips number 2. Well, it's actually a JIS, Japanese Industrial Standards, but you can get away with a number 2. Nobody here in America uses the JIS, so I got to figure out which one is the low limit screw. Yeah, it's the one to the left. It'll have markings, if it's a good manufacturer, to indicate which is the low limit screw and which is the high limit screw. So I'm turning it like one full rotation. I guessed, I've been doing this so long, I know how far I have to screw it in. This isn't the greatest derailleur, so in order for it to be some of these derailleurs, I screw it into where you can't really use the biggest cog, because it won't. It's not a fine adjustment on these. With the more high-end derailleur, you can do a more finer adjustment. So yeah, it still wants to come off. And it can be difficult to get the chain off from between the cog and the wheel. Just kind of, you gotta don't get upset. Don't crank too much hard on it. So we're almost there. I think this is a Shimano Tourney derailleur. Yeah, with this one, it's not the greatest. The concept is the same for $10,000 bike, $100 bicycle. Just, that is a low limit. See, yeah, even though I'm screwing it in a lot, it still can possibly come off that lowest cog. So, but yeah, high limit screw set really good, because I come down real fast and it's not jumping off, and there's some slack in this line. There's some slack in that line, and it's still not popping off, off that low limit, the lowest cog. So that low limit screw is set, but that high limit screw is set properly. The low limit screw, on the other hand, no. So this is just a generalization of shifting. This is a freewheel. This thing doesn't come loose. Check it for tightness, but if you got a cassette, I would tighten it. But like I said, this is not freewheel. But yeah, when I do a shifting, I take off the pinch bolt and redo everything. Let's go to the chain right here. Yeah, there we go. So with this is your front derailleur. You want to make sure that your front derailleur can't go, when you're turning or shifting, that it doesn't go so far to where your chain comes off. And also vice versa with the smallest chain ring. You don't want to make sure it doesn't, when you shift all the way down, it doesn't go off between the bicycle. So see, when I go to the lowest gear, it doesn't pop off. You kind of want to shift fast, and simulate, a riding scenario. Always be turning, always be pedaling while you're shifting. So always be pedaling. Shifting's adjusted on this bicycle though. Yeah, it's pretty good. I would tighten it a bit, like right here. Barrel adjuster. This is called your barrel adjuster right here. It adjusts the tightness or tautness of your bicycle cable. This shouldn't be, I don't like it turned out more than 2 rotations. I think this one's pretty, yeah, this one is, it's only 2 rotations. So right now the cable's loose. see, yeah, still shifting pretty good. Not bad. Bada bing. Anyways, I'm gonna move on to brakes because we're running out of time. Your brake pads, make sure they're not. You got a good shot on there, Megan? You good? Okay, cool. Make sure they're not put too high, and they're not rubbing on your tires. If they rub on your tires, when you're hitting the brakes or not hitting the brakes, you will rub a hole through your tire, and you will need new tires. It's just like with a car tire. Somebody's a sidewall gash, it can't be repaired, can't be replaced. Your tire size is on the sidewall of the tire. You can see it. Oh yeah, you can see it. So this is a 24 by 1.95 inch tire. 24 is the nominal size. It's a nominal. This is imperial size, American. It's a nominal size, so it's not exact. It's just ballpark range. 24 by 1.95. Now the exact size is actually in metric, in ISO standard. ETRTO standard. Sorry, European tire something blah blah blah. 54-507. The bigger number is the diameter, and it's in millimeters. The bigger number, 507, is the diameter of the wheel, the bead seat diameter, and that is in millimeters, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I don't think it's centimeters. I'm pretty sure it's millimeters. It's either or. It's 507 millimeters. The width of the tire is 54. So this is the ETRTO. 24-inch tires, they are tricky. They make like 4 different types of 24-inch tires. But to get the correct one, you got to look at the ETRTO, because they make like these. Anyways, it's a long story. Make sure your wheel's true. Wheel truing is very complicated. I recommend getting a professional, especially if the nipples on the wheel are aluminum, because you could strip them very easily. Your PSI is also located on the sidewall of the tire. Pump up your tire to the correct PSI. Unfortunately, it's very hard to see. They mostly put it in very small print. Anyways, talking about the brakes again. Sorry, drifted off. These are V-brakes. Make sure your brakes are properly adjusted. They're hitting the metal surface, the braking surface of your rim. So this one is little hot. It's actually pretty good. Pretty good. Adjusted pretty good. I don't know if you can, how close. Yeah, you got it good. That's good. So, yeah, as you can see, it's pretty good. It looks a little high. I actually would lower it just a little bit, tad bit. See, sometimes the brake pad is thick to where, you know what I mean? You guys got to be it's the same width as the rim, the braking surface. But actually, if you can see it from the top angle, which you can't, it's not rubbing at all. It's not rubbing at all on the tire. So it might look like it on camera, but yeah. So, and I'm also going to show you, keep it on that shot. So I'm going to come around like this. So if you ever replace your brake pads, I use the nail test. You press on it. If they're really hard, get a new brake pad and kind of feel it, and then feel what an old brake pad is. You want them to be a little bit, I don't want to say soft, but if you felt it, make sure these washers are installed correctly. So the metal portion of where you're clamping on is going to go between these washers. I can't. That screen is blocking, so I can't. I'm pretty sure you can see it. So you want to make sure it's in the same orientation. I don't want to get too into this, but this little washer goes right here. Sometimes you have to reverse the order of these, like I'll show you, because it depends on the brakes and the wheel size. But sometimes you can flip these around. You have to flip these around in order to adjust your brakes properly. But it's still the same. See that? So these little washers right here, these are a little convex, I think they call it. Yeah, convex and concave. Concave is like this. These are convex. This is convex, and this is concave. I don't know. Engineers, let me know in the comments. But this sits. If you viewed these, you'll see. So that allows you to move it and then tighten it. So that's a just a little rough gauge of brakes, rim brakes. These are V brakes, so they're extremely common on bicycles. I know some bike snob out there is like, no, they don't make them anymore. No, they do. And they're still common. They're still out there. So, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, it's just a quick. You want to make sure they're. Let's get a wide shot, please. So your brakes, you don't want them to be, you don't want your levers to bottom out. You don't want them to be too close either. It depends on the brake lever and the brake system. Sometimes you can't adjust them to where it's like halfway and it's braking. Sometimes it's gonna go a little bit past, or sometimes. I kind of like personally. I like when I barely touch that brake, it engages. If your wheel's out of true, it's gonna rub on the brake pads, and so you gotta true the wheel. So rim brake pads can be a little. They're not tricky to me, but some people are like, that's why I like disc brakes. But this brake needs to be tightened right here. Let's go back to number 2, please. So what I do is I get me a 5 millimeter. This is called the pinch bolt. The thing that clamps onto the cable right here, that's called the pinch bolt. 5 millimeter. I like to tighten this up a bit more. You got to pull on it. You can use a needle nose pliers, or you can get those cable pullers. I like using cable pullers. So I'm just doing it like pulling it a couple millimeters, and then let's go wide shot, please. So now you can see I have to move the lever less in order to engage the brakes. I don't like it to be too close, but like I said, it depends on the manufacturer. So that's how you tighten up the brakes. I'm moving the wrong wheel. So this is, boom. In America, the right brake lever engages the rear brake, and the left brake lever engages the front brake. If you live in the UK, and I think maybe surrounding areas and countries, in the UK, I know it's opposite. And I've had people from the UK bring their bikes and have me adjust them. And I'm like, and I immediately tell them, you just came from the UK? And they go, yeah, you brought this. And they go, yeah, I brought the bike. So this one, remember this front wheel was like super loose when I was trying to adjust the headset. It kind of should have been, I should have adjusted this beforehand, but I'm gonna loosen this pinch bolt and pull on it. Bada bing. Should be a lot more. Depends on the type of brake levers, manufacturer, the brake arm length and the width of the wheel, how much adjustment you have, room for adjustment. So all kinds of factors that go into this. But no, what are you guys doing? Come on. See now. Let me see. Now I don't have to bottom out. I was almost bottoming out. This lever was almost touching the grip in order to engage the brake. Now it's a lot less. And make sure you see this. See this right here? Let's go to number 2. So if one arm's moving more than the other, see that? It was just this one moving mainly. You want it to be moving kind of equally. And that's because due to the spring adjustment right here. And this takes a Phillips number 2 to adjust the spring tension. The spring, because you got their springs and they're pulling. Let me see here. So you got, if this one has more force, it's gonna mainly do the moving. You want to have them equal. So watch this. I'm gonna increase the spring tension on this one. And you'll see what happens. Oh, need more. And you could do loosen this and then tighten this more. But you don't want to loosen it out too much because the screw will unloosen and fall off due to vibration. That's why you put Loctite on those screws. But these already have Loctite on them because the manufacturer put Loctite. And anyways, but there's another factor. Sometimes they use pneumatic tools to install these, so it can mushroom the mounting circle part of the where the brake is on. Let's see. Ooh. These brakes are rubbing. Let's see here. Watch that. Oh, I felt something. I'm gonna loosen that bad boy up. This. Also, there's like 3 little holes. I don't want to get too into it, but it can be a bit tricky. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I did it. So that's pretty equal right there. And that spring tension. Let's go to the white shot. You can hear it. Bam! Like it's more springy. Boom! Comes out. Some people don't like that, but you know, it's just proper adjustment of it. So they're moving the arms. It's called the lever arms, actuator arms. If you're an engineer, mechanical terminology. So those are moving. The brake pads are going. When you squeeze that lever, the brake pads are going to touch the rim at the same time. That because you don't want, you want the rim brake pads to wear evenly. So let me talk. I think there's something else I was going to talk about. So you got your brakes, your shifting. Bada bing. Got a brain fart here. This is the fun of being live. Brain fart. But yeah, this bike is pretty cool. I would talk about the hub bearings, but it's a little complicated. Also, yeah, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Safety wise, this has a quick release on it. Let's get camera number 3, please. Let's kind of get in this center of the front wheel. Lining it up. Okay, cool. Take your time. It's all good. Let me play with the. So I hate these quick releases, especially on a kid's bike. The kid's not gonna. Make sure that this lever is not going too close to those spokes, please. And make sure this is tightened properly. Check with your manufacturer. I move it a little bit past 90 degrees. So you have 90 degrees. Everybody knows what a 90, I'm pretty sure you know what a 90 degrees is. It's just boom, boom, like on a square. I put it a little bit past 90. That's where I want it to stop at. That's where I want it to be tight at, is a little bit past 90. I mean, this isn't a great example, but I like to move it closer to the what is it called? Like, put it close to right here. Okay, because say you run into something, right? You run into a bush or something, and it can hit it and loosen it. It can. I don't want it to be touching this. This is just showing you for an example. Let me see. But let's see. Like that. So like if you hit something, it doesn't turn and loosen. Well, actually this is righty, but say you don't want it. That's why you kind of put it close to this. But you don't want it to go into the spokes. If you fall on this side, you pick up your bicycle, look at it, make sure this thing's not in your spokes. You don't want it too close to. You don't want it close to at all to your spokes, but this is why I do not like quick releases. And the kids are not going to know how to do this properly, and the parents are not going to do this properly. So that's why I like the nutted axles, like on the rear wheel, and I recommend you buy. Let's see, keep it on that. You can keep it on that shot. Let's go back to the. So yeah, you can. Was he at number 3? Okay, cool. Buy these. You don't have to buy this brand. This is the brand that I buy, and I kind of sell. But this is the front one. Most bicycles, I'd say like 90%, 95% have what they call old 100. The spacing, the hub spacing between these dropouts is 100 millimeters. So they're like, yeah, 95% of the time is 100 millimeters. Sometimes you gotta take this wheel out, get a vernier caliper, and kind of measure the space, or take it to a bike shop. These are, pretty much dummy proof. You can replace your quick release skewer with these. It's a lot more safer, a lot more simpler. They have a Newton meter rating on here, so you know what's the proper torque specification. Please get these. That way your kid's safe, you're safe. And it's not easy for them to steal your front wheel if you end up locking up your bicycle. Yeah, this is the worst thing that they could have installed on bicycles. And yeah, this bicycle doesn't even have lawyer tabs on it. But lawyer tabs kind of prevent this from coming off, even if it's loose, slightly loosened, the quick release. But yeah, let me move this out the way and we'll do the outro real quick. Move this out the way. But yeah, anyways, I just want to say thank you everybody for watching my show. I have some links in the description to Denver Community Studio, so you can learn more about the organization and how you can participate in it and also film here. Thank you to Denver Community Studios and the staff. I appreciate you guys. Also, if you'd like to book an appointment, go on my website, www.bosquemobilebicyclerepair.com. Visit my social media. I'm on 15 different social media platforms, so check them out. I got over 150 videos online, educational videos. Learn something, educate yourself, have a better ride. I have educational articles on my website. Check them out. I got a free PDF, top 10 reasons why cyclists get flats. But yeah, have a great ride, everybody. Let me know in the comments where you're at, what country you're from. I love that. Everybody from around the world. There's different people from around the world learning from my videos. I get people from Canada commenting, Africa, the UK, Philippines. I know you guys are watching. So yeah, cool. I'm glad that I can educate everybody. So yeah, have a great ride and stay safe.